The Conservative leader, Kemi Badenoch, says that bosses should have the right to ban staff from wearing burkas. And she says that she wouldn't allow somebody into her constituency surgery on a Friday if they were wearing a face covering.
Yeah, a burqa, or, she says, a balaclava. Her comments came after the newest Reform MP, Sarah Pochin, asked the Prime Minister whether Britain would ban the burqa being worn in public.
Well, let's have a canter through this. In Muslim culture, there are different types of face covering. The hijab is the most common veil, which covers the hair, the neck and the head. The niqab is a covering for the face, which leaves the eyes exposed. And the burqa is a one-piece covering over the face and body, with the eyes behind a mesh screen. So what do you think? Should there be a ban on burqas, complete face coverings in the workplace? Joining us now is the broadcaster and former Brexit Party MEP Alex Phillips, who says the burqa is an imported cultural symbol of women and it should not be in this country, while the broadcaster Fahima Mohammed says it's just picking on one group of people and a full ban would be against British values and law. But the thing is, other countries have banned the burqa. Other democracies have completely banned it, such as France and Belgium. There's a long list of Western democracies who, for quite some time now, won't allow women to wear the burqa in their country.
Yeah, and that is very far-right, secular sort of, parties that have actually called for it. It's actually been so counterproductive that places like France and even Denmark, you've seen women that have actually gone in protest, wearing it more than they would normally, and it's actually increased even people turning towards Islam. So, again, it is against any sort of freedoms. It goes against democracy. It actually is telling people what to wear and what not to wear. It's exactly the same for me as oppression.
But aren't women being told what to wear?
In some circumstances.
Well, yes, and they may not want to wear it, but they are bullied into wearing it by their religious culture. I'm not saying all women are, but that's why so many people here in the West feel concerned about it. They feel that it is in some way a repression of women. I mean, why is it that women have to cover their face, but men don't?
Look, if that's a culture that you don't understand, fair enough. And, of course, if you're worried about coercion, that is something, or oppression, we've got safeguarding measures for that. We've got rules, we've got, legislation, we've got regulations for all of those things. But I feel when there are so many women that are saying that they want to choose, and actually the burqa is one of the minority within a minority that actually wear it. I hardly come across that. And if you really want to see people that are there expressing themselves, go on TikTok. They're wearing niqabs, they're wearing hijab, they're wearing burqas, they're speaking in podcasts, they have education, they are fully, able to integrate, speak, and be part of British culture.
Alex, isn't part of our culture and our values that we are tolerant even when we see things which we consider, in some cases, to be intolerant?
Well, I think we should be a tolerant nation, but being tolerant of intolerance doesn't make sense to me. And my concern is this. Look, I'm sitting opposite Fahima right now, and isn't she beautiful? She's got warm eyes. She's, we've been having a wonderful chat in the green room, and I can build a bond with her immediately because I get to see her face. And I think when someone goes for a full face covering, it immediately puts up a barrier between that person and the world. It goes against integration. And I worry as well because very often you find the burqa exists within communities who adhere to a far more stringent form of Islam, whose cultural mores are in absolute conflict with our own. And I'm a big believer that women should get to choose what they wear.
They are choosing, though.
But I don't think they are, because
that is a fallacy. That is you making an assumption.
The message behind it is a woman should cover her face or else be shamed. And that, to me, is such a negative principle.
No, that is not the case.
Can I just ask?
That is not the case.
Firstly, I don't know how widespread it is that women from conservative Islam here in the UK wear the full face veil. I don't know. Do you know how common it is?
I will say it is not even part of actual faith. It is people that choose that they want to from a cultural perspective. And if they feel that that's their way of expression...
So you think that even though it is part of conservative Islam to completely cover up...
Just like the Orthodox Jews.
You believe that it is a woman's choice. I mean, I'll
my body, my choice. Haven't been fighting for that since the suffragettes.
But I'll give an example. In Afghanistan, we were all outraged when the Taliban brought back in the compulsory wearing of the burqa. That was, you would not argue that was those women's choice.
But they are being oppressed over there. But we are oppressing women over here who have got freedoms. And like I said, if they are being oppressed over here, there's a different law, there's a different legislation. We can actually help them differently. But to have a blanket ban where even the ones that are choosing to also make sure that they're not getting their rights,
Alex,
that's your position.
Can I ask, particularly the issue of Kemi Badenoch saying that when somebody comes into her constituency surgery wearing a full face veil, she refuses to engage with them, just as she would if someone came in a balaclava. I just wonder whether that's a kind of breach of the responsibility an MP has for their constituents.
Absolutely. MPs have been under attack. We've seen awful incidents of people, MPs being physically attacked, some murdered.
Never by anybody wearing a burqa.
The security around MPs now is so tight. You cannot have a situation where an MP is doing her duty publicly in her constituency and someone comes in who you cannot identify. That is a security risk.
I just wonder, though, because we've been talking about, of course, if a woman wants to wear a burqa, currently, it's absolutely legitimate. There is no ban.
Might be plenty...
But what if a woman felt oppressed and wanted to take an issue to her MP and was told, you cannot come into this constituency office because of what you're wearing?
But I still think at the same time, you've got to... That is least likely to happen. If she's feeling that oppressed, I'd be amazed if she's allowed out without an escort. But...
Well, we don't know, because Kemi Badenoch said she won't see
you cannot have a situation where somebody's safety is put at risk, and when people cannot be identified, particularly in the febrile world we live in today, particularly after what happened to David Amess, you cannot have a situation where an MP is...
I find that argument...
Given that so few women in this country wear the burqa, you hardly ever see the full burqa.
Which parts of London do you go to?
Is it that big a deal?
Which parts of London do you go to? Because I think there's a lot more people wearing burqas
you haven't seen... Honestly, I go around London and I've been around for many, many years all over during work, and there is hardly people that are fully covered. And when it comes to the security issues, we do not condone anyone hurting anybody for any reason. Now, one moment you're saying that these women are oppressed, the next moment you're saying that they're a security issue. Which one is it? You are really just picking on them for a particular reason, and I just see it as being anti-Islam and it's anti-women in Islam. And for me, that is anti-feminism and anti-British values and law. And we have laws for security to make sure that they will actually be taken off, to one side, to take off their sort of, veil, whatever they're wearing, in order to identify themselves.
Do you think there is a strong sense of feminism within Islam?
I don't think feminism in this kind of, wave is something that anyone will actually sort of approve of. I certainly don't. I'm here for equality, yes. I'm here for certain things. But the way it is now, it's more about against men. I like men and women to work as teams. And I think we need each other. We can work together coherently. That's a different issue.
I'm afraid we're going to have to leave it there. Thank you both very much indeed for that. And thanks for all your contributions on this as well this morning. Pretty much an even split, actually, on this.